Welcome to Confident English, a place where we don't just learn words. We learn how to speak from the heart. Where English isn't just a language, it's a mirror, showing us who we're becoming. Here, fluency is not about perfection or fancy grammar rules. It's about confidence, courage, consistency, and most of all, it's about connection with yourself and with the world. Today, I want to tell you a story. Not of a native speaker. Not of someone who had every resource handed to them. This is a story of a boy who had no teacher, no school, no classroom, no structured lessons. And yet, he speaks English with fluency, ease, and emotion. He didn't study it in the traditional sense. He absorbed it. He didn't follow a curriculum. He followed curiosity. And somehow that was enough. Let me take you there. He was born in a small, quiet town, far from any big cities, surrounded by fields, the sound of birds, and old transistor radios. His family didn't speak English. In fact, no one in his neighborhood did. English was something they saw in subtitles on foreign movies. Something distant, decorative, not part of daily life. There was no English class at school, just a few dusty textbooks with outdated phrases like, "This is a pen." But he was different. He listened differently. It started with cartoons. That's all he had access to. He didn't understand the words, but he felt something. He paid attention to the way the characters moved when they spoke. The rhythm of the voice. The pauses. The laughter. The music of the language. So he kept watching. Not just once but over and over. He'd rewind the same sentence again and again, repeating it out loud, mimicking the tone, the pitch, even the attitude. He didn't know it then, but that was his first lesson in pronunciation, in intonation, in listening comprehension. Without knowing a single grammar rule, he was already learning the real language, the way it's spoken, not the way it's written. He would take notes, not of rules, but of sounds. He'd write the way he heard it, sometimes in his own language just to remember. If a character said, "I gotta go," he'd write, "I gotta go," and whisper it to himself while walking to school. His notebooks weren't academic. They were musical. He didn't have anyone to correct him. No native speaker to model for him. But he had time, patience, and an open heart. He made mistakes constantly, and that's why he improved. Because every mistake became a moment of discovery. And when he found songs, his world changed. Music became his teacher. He'd listen to English lyrics, copy them by hand, and then sing them again and again, until the words were no longer foreign. He said that singing gave him confidence to say things out loud that he couldn't say in a sentence. But here's the part most people miss. He didn't only listen. He noticed. He noticed how emotions live in voice. How one word, said with a certain tone, can mean 10 different things. He noticed how people pause before something important. How laughter often follows the truth. He didn't study English. He studied humans. And slowly, the language stopped being English. It became part of him. He spoke to himself in English when no one was around. Practiced conversations in his head. Whispered affirmations to the mirror. His voice cracked at first. His tongue stumbled. But he kept going. Kept speaking. Not for grades. not for praise. Just to feel connected to something bigger than himself. Years passed. And one day, someone from abroad visited his town. They spoke English. He was nervous, but he spoke anyway. And to his shock, he was understood. Not just understood, but felt. The rhythm, the flow, the confidence, the connection. It was all there. And the visitor asked him, "Where did you learn to speak like that?" He smiled. "I didn't. I just listened." And he meant it. Because no teacher stood in front of him. No one explained phrasal verbs or conditionals. He learned through immersion. Not by force but by feeling. He gave himself permission to learn the way a child learns. Through curiosity, through sound, through repetition. This story matters because it destroys the myth that fluency requires privilege. That you need to pay for a class, move to another country, or master all the grammar before you speak. It shows that fluency begins with presence. With listening. With having the courage to sound strange until it starts to sound like you. And here's what I want you to take away from his story. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need to wait until you feel ready. You don't need the latest app or the best textbook. What you need is already inside you. Your ears, your voice, your patience. You can learn by watching. By listening. By imitating. By trusting yourself. If he could learn English by echoing cartoons, copying lyrics, and repeating phrases in his room alone, then so can you. Not overnight. Not without effort. But with time and love, and a little faith in your own process. There's a voice inside you waiting to come out. You don't have to wait for permission to use it. Just listen. And then speak. And then listen again. That's how fluency is born. If this story reminded you of your own journey, if you've ever spoken to yourself in English when no one was listening, or felt like you were learning in silence, know this: you are not alone. You are building your voice every single time you dare to try. And that is something powerful. Here on Confident English, we celebrate every quiet victory, every brave whisper, every imperfect sentence. Because that's where real fluency lives. Not in rules, but in real people like you. So if this inspired you, leave a comment. Share your story. Or just write one English sentence you're proud of saying today. That's how confidence grows. And until the next video, keep listening, keep speaking, and never stop becoming.